And let's stay with climate because India's capital, Delhi, has overtaken the Pakistani city of Lahore as the most polluted city on earth. According to the Swiss group IQAir, Delhi's air pollution index had reached 418 on Thursday, which is defined as severe. A good rating is between 0 and 50. The Indian city has had to deal with smog every winter as cold air traps dust emissions and smoke from illegal tyres. Our India correspondent Arunodaya Mukherjee in Delhi and our Pakistan correspondent Caroline Davis in Islamabad join me to discuss the impact on both countries.
It certainly isn't the kind of tag that India would like to show off to the world as it tries to project an image of a developing country which really is trying to make a name for itself on a global stage. But if I could, I'm not sure how much you can make out behind me. Of course, I'm on a very busy road. The buildings behind me are clouded in a thick blanket of smog, and that's the kind of picture that greets us almost every morning for the past few days. When you step outside of the houses, of our homes, there's a burning sensation in your eyes start watering very fast, your throat starts itching, there's a hoarseness, there's also a shortness of breath because you're trying to breathe in as little as possible. I know that sounds difficult, but psychologically you start trying to take shorter breaths, which leaves you breathless most of the time. Now, of course, there are some people who have the option of staying indoors by keeping their doors and windows shut, keeping those very expensive air purifiers on 24/7. But then there are many other people who can't afford purifiers, whose jobs are outdoors. You can see the traffic just gives you a sense of how many people need to be out and about. And that is the reality for a majority of the residents here in the National Capital Region as they brave this kind of hazardous weather. And you pointed out some of those figures. We really feel the impact of those figures. The biggest concern is doctors and experts have said several families have gone to doctors with respiratory complaints over the last 1 week at least. This has been recorded by various surveys that have been conducted. There is a big concern, especially for the elderly as well as children, Sarah. Now, this entire area is a suburb of Delhi, which has a lot of residential high-rises. And all these residential high-rises have a common park. Every evening around this time, you see a lot of children coming out to play. But that site has completely disappeared over the past few days because parents just don't want to send their children. Just imagine those numbers that you mentioned. Imagine small children going out to play in this kind of air is certainly a huge cause for concern. And the problem is, this is an annual affair. But experts say the government still hasn't been able to fix it, and most of the solutions are quick fix and reactive rather than preemptive.
OK, Arunodaya in Delhi, thank you for that. So, Caroline, we can see behind you very similar pictures to those we saw in Delhi. I suppose the question is it that Lahore has got better in terms of pollution or that Delhi has simply got worse?
I'm in Islamabad, where here the numbers are much lower than we're seeing in Lahore, they're lower than we're seeing in Delhi, but you can see the images behind me. It's still incredibly smoggy, and this is when we're hovering at around the 200 mark on the air quality index, whereas the numbers that we've seen in the course of the last couple of weeks have been extraordinarily high here in Pakistan. It's been about 2,000 has been hit in one of the cities in Multan, and that was over the course of the weekend. Now, in terms of, as you say, this is not a competition that either country particularly wants to be at the top of this particular chart. We've seen these figures fluctuate over the course of the last 2 weeks. Lahore has on occasions been over 1,000. I checked earlier today, and at one point it was sitting at over 1,500. So these figures and these cities that are sitting at the very top, they're all part of the same problem in the same region. And in fact, there have been images that NASA have shown where you can see the smog and see how thick it is from space. That gives you an idea of how potent this smog is. One of the major issues, I've been speaking to some climate scientists as well about what has been going on and why this smog is still sitting here over Pakistan for over 2 weeks now over some of these major cities, including Lahore. They've said that this is a large amount to do with the fact that there hasn't been any rain, there hasn't been much wind, it hasn't moved the smog on, so instead it's just accumulated, it's built up, it's spread across, so it's not just in Lahore, it's across a large amount of Punjab as well, and even spread into nearby Khyber Pakhtunkhwa too. So this is a major issue that, similarly to India, there's been a lot of criticism that this has been an ongoing problem. This has happened on a regular basis, and yet the long-term solutions just haven't been put into place.
Yeah, that was Caroline Davis in Islamabad and Arunodaya Mukherjee in Delhi reporting for us there.